Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Rajani Shesha Jaya Se Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
हर बार डालती है
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Jaya Gaurani
Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasaya Bhutale, Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Bhattarane, Namaste Satsangirahi Paschatya Deshatane. Om Agalatvinanda Sahajana Jana Salavaya, Chaksha Sumilitam Jana Tasmai, Sri Gurave Namaha, Sri Caitanya Manavishtam Sapitam Jana Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadama Bhakti Vanshvapatidrista Kripasindhuvevacham Patitanam Pavanekam I have to open Mars. It's not too cold here. Earth is okay.
It is cold for me, but the devotees told me how to keep myself, warm.
Good.
So I'm prepared for it. I was prepared for it. It is cold for me. But
It is
I'm
also
prepared.
cold for me. Are you from Bombay itself?
Yes.
Yes.
The Juhu temple
Yes.
is the parent temple.
Yes.
Then the extension of that is Mira Road. Now
Yes.
it's a full-fledged temple.
Yes. Beautiful deities. Yes.
You have visited the place?
Not very many times, but I visited. And I know Kamala Prabhu. Is he taking sannyas soon?
Yes.
When did your Guru Maharaj give you sannyas?
That was 2022 Radha Ashtami.
Oh, well. Now so much responsibility has fallen upon you.
Kind of more of traveling and then I'm taking inspiration from your books, the surrender unto me, the japa, and now I'm kind of a mission to make Bhagavad Gita simple. 18 chapters in 18 days, in 18
Oh,
hours.
yeah, wonderful.
I came to take nectar and also blessings.
Well, probably will disappoint you. I don't have any nectar, I don't have any power to give blessings. But I can pray to Srila Prabhupada that he will keep you fully strong, determined, detached, and full of knowledge and compassionate. Because the world so much needs transcendental knowledge and good association, because it's getting worse and worse and worse day by day, and more dangerous day by day. And people have more and more anxiety day by day. I was listening to Prabhupada on a morning walk this morning. He was in Germany, and he was talking about that people prefer to live in a fool's paradise, which means that completely an illusion. People prefer to live in illusion more than in reality. But if there is a conflict between illusion and reality, reality always wins. Anyway, and so mercy can definitely come, because this part of Caitanya Caritamrta that we're reading from today, we'll see how far we get, but this is in chapter 10 of Madhya Lila, and Mahaprabhu has just returned from his travels in South India, and the devotees in Bengal, they've been informed that he's come back to Puri, and naturally they had been worried about him, because when his elder brother Vishwarup went traveling when he went traveling as a sannyasi, he never returned. So Mahaprabhu did return, and the devotees in Bengal are coming to see him immediately, because he was their life. In this world, it's very rare that someone has a relationship that's so meaningful to them that without that relationship they have no life, they have no reason to live. So the devotees had that from Bengal. They had known Mahaprabhu ever since he was Nimai Pandit, and they had chanted with him, and they were already great Vaishnavas, but he had opened up the realm of Kirtan, Sankirtan to them, and they would chant and dance all night long and experience ecstasy. So they wanted to see him. So when he returned, the devotees in Jagannath Puri, they also wanted to see him, because he had been away for 2 years, and they had been thinking, when will he return? When will he return? When will he return? So when he finally returned, the example that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj gives, it's like when there's, in the field, when the grains are dry and there's no rain, but suddenly the rain comes, and the wheat, the atta, comes back to life because of the rains. So when the devotees heard that Mahaprabhu was coming back, and they saw him, it was like they had come to life, like the grains getting nourished by the rains. And then after Mahaprabhu was introduced to them, or they were introduced to him, then Paramananda Puri arrived, who Mahaprabhu had just seen on the Rishabha Hill near Srirangam. And he was the godbrother of his Guru Maharaj, of Sri Ishwara Puri, but he immediately understood who Mahaprabhu was. And Mahaprabhu was so humble and so gentle. And he said, "You please come to Jagannath Puri. I want to be in your association." And I just recently read, when in describing who Paramananda Puri was in Krishna Lila. Does anyone know who he was in Krishna Lila? Well, after I tell you, then you won't be able to say you don't know. And you probably won't even forget. It was Uddhav, so close to Krishna. And he had such an intimate, Uddhava had such an intimate relationship with Braj. And he was so intimate and so intelligent. He was a disciple of Brihaspati. But he was sent by Krishna to Vrindavan to deliver messages to the residents of Vrindavan, especially the Braja Gopis. And he and Rohini Devi were the only ones in Dwarka who had seen Braja and had seen Krishna's pastimes, or had seen the love of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna. So Mahaprabhu always wanted to keep him close. And he also had parental affection for Krishna, because he was the godbrother of his spiritual master. So we also need that kind of affection. We need so many different, it is affection that causes our life to flourish. And without affection, our life dries up and we become just mental. We just live on the mental platform, just longing for that. So we need all kinds of affection. There's the affection that we give to others, and the affection that those who are subordinate to us give us, and then there's affection amongst equals, and then there's the affection amongst those in a superior position. So all those are required for a soul to blossom, even materially and spiritually too. So after Paramananda Puri arrived, then the next person who arrived was Sarup Damodar. And when Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas, because he was a friend, even though he's not mentioned, his name was Purushottamacharya, so he's not really spoken about so much in Caitanya Bhagavata or Caitanya Caritamrta, but he was very close to Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit. And then when Nimai Pandit Vishwambar took sannyas, then he went crazy. He felt he didn't want to have anything to do with the material world, so he more or less half took sannyas. And then he came to Jagannath Puri, and he just fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami described, because it's so important that we understand who Swarup Damodar is, because he's, first of all, the verses that he's written actually reveal Mahaprabhu's identity and the purpose of his coming, the internal purpose of his coming to this world. And also that Mahaprabhu would speak and act. He knew Mahaprabhu's mind perfectly, so he was considered a second Mahaprabhu, practically speaking. And everyone in Jagannath Puri respected him like that. And when he came, he immediately just said, "I was so foolish, I was so sinful that I left your association. How could I have done that?" So Krishna's Kaviraj, he explains the very intimate relationship between Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was completely renounced. He was a great, great scholar, and also was a wonderful, what else was he? Do you remember? Yeah, a musician. He was a wonderful musician and wrote a book. Does anyone remember the name of the book? Yes. Dhamma Sangeetam. So he fell down at the feet of Mahaprabhu And he fell flat before the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He just took complete shelter of him. He offered him obeisances, and he began to recite a verse. Now, this verse is also written in Caitanya Chandrodaya Natak by Kavi Kanapur. And it is a very important verse because it speaks in this verse, Suktamana describes the effect of the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's 3 specific effects of his mercy. And those effects are just what every living entity requires. And that's another way of saying that the effects of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy are so wonderful that we require Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So here's the verse. Hello, Dunita, Kedara, Mitadaya, Pron Milad, Amol Daya. So in the verse, the word Daya, or mercy, is spoken many times. So this means, so each of the first 3 lines of the verse describe one of the aspects of Mahaprabhu's mercy and the result of it. So Hela means very easily. Udunita, driven away. Kedaya, lamentation. And lamentation is one of the prime symptoms of material existence. It is this world we know is Dukalayama Shashvatama Nitya Sukham Loka, but it is filled with lamentation because what we don't want to happen must happen. And the people who are dearest to us, they have trouble. And that is more painful often than one's own troubles. And we have so many plans when we're young. We have so many plans what life is going to be like. And I want this to happen, and my family's going to be like this, and my wife's going to be like this, and my children are going to be like that, and they'll always be like this. Yes, yes. How can I serve you, dear Father? But generally, it doesn't happen like that. And we have plans, like I've seen so many of the young children when if they've been brought up in India, we say, what do you want to be? And they say, I want to be a cricket player, famous cricket player. And if they're brought up in the United States, they want to be a baseball player or a basketball player. They have dreams. Just dreams of what life is going to be like. But dreams and reality are quite different. And therefore, when we have one plan and something else happens, then we lament. The people who we trusted turned out to be untrustworthy. People who trusted us, we turn out to be untrustworthy for them. And that's the material world. We have dreams, but dreams that will be unfulfilled in the material world. So therefore, a basic part of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is don't try to become happy in this world. Life is meant for something different than that. So the lamentation very easily is driven away. Kedaya. This is the result again of the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Pron milad amol daya. Because the mercy of Mahaprabhu purifies everything. It gives us knowledge. It purifies everything. And awakens amodaya, transcendental bliss. So this is really the only way that we can stop dreaming that the material world is going to be the place of our shelter and our happiness. If actual bliss awakens in our heart, and bliss is the actual nature of each and every one of us, even though we might not always be blissful, but this is actually our nature, which is also a constant cause of lamentation, that we feel that we want to be happy. There's something so good who is actually us. And then we lament because that part never comes out, practically speaking. But when the bliss comes out of Mahaprabhu's mercy, then lamentation of the material world naturally disappears. It naturally disappears. We don't have to hear all the philosophy that you can't be happy in the material world and it's a miserable place and you're going to suffer and your body is going to die and etc. So we don't have to hear all that to bring us detachment, because actually Srila Jiva Goswami describes in the Sandarbhas that to be completely averse against the material world, this isn't our philosophy. This is the philosophy of the Gyanis. And our philosophy is Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagya, that this world belongs to Krishna, everything in it belongs to Krishna, and everything, including us, should be used in Krishna's service. It is neutral towards the material world. It is not bad, it is not good, but when it's used in Krishna's service, like a knife, surgical knife used in an operation, it can heal, it can cure, it can help. When it's used for, then it can cause trouble. So the devotional outlook of the material world, and if we can somehow learn to use everything in Krishna's service very sincerely, and thinking of ourselves as Krishna's servant, and not only Krishna's servant, but Gopi Bhakta Parakamaliva, Dasa, servant of those who are better at serving Krishna than us, which should be more or less everyone when we're thinking about it properly, because people may criticize us, and no one likes to be criticized, but they don't really know how bad it is. I mean, who could write a book about how bad I am more than me? A longer book, except, of course, my wife. So, hello, Dunita Kedaya, Vishvadaya, Pranmalad, Amodaya. And here is the translation of this line. Your auspicious mercy easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. The second line. Samyat Shastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chatar Piton Madaya. So always this word in this verse. 3 times in that line is just daya, mercy, mercy, mercy. So by the end of this, if my class has any meaning or success, we should be desiring Krishna's mercy, some extra mercy from Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, because the experience that we need that mercy, it is like the water that nourishes the plant suffering from drought. Yeah, and the requirement, if someone doesn't think they need mercy, then why will Krishna give it to them? So that need is like the negative pole of a magnet that attracts the positive of mercy, and therefore Mahaprabhu has prayed, Trinada Pisani, that humility is so much a foundation of the philosophy, because it attracts, it pulls mercy to us. So Samyak Shastra Varodaya Rasadaya Sita Piton Madhya, that samyak, mitigates or stops Shastra Vivadaya, the confusion that comes from the different conclusions of Shastra, the different points of Shastra that seem to contradict each other. Mahaprabhu's mercy removes that. How? Rasadaya, by distributing transcendental mellows, chitta, in the heart, arpita, it fixes the heart on madhya, in jubilation and happiness. One becomes fixed in transcendental happiness by Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then one sees all Shastra in perspective, and one sees the different religious systems of the world. They're not contradictory to each other, but they're all, if they're real spiritual paths, real religion, they're all leading in the same direction and pushing us in that same direction and pulling us and frightening us and to go in that same direction to the lotus feet of Krishna, although there may be different levels that the Shastras are spoken on, just like in school. Do you remember what you were taught in the first grade in mathematics?
Multiplication.
In the multiplication, wow. In the first grade?
First or second?
Yeah. Because I remember 1 and 1 is 2 and that kind of thing. You were in a very... So you learn something and it's all true, but there's different levels of that truth. And when one thinks that, when one is thinking that multiplication is the highest thing, because that's what I've learned and I'm quite good at that. And when someone hears about differential equations and trigonometry and different kinds of calculus and different types of higher math, it doesn't make any sense to him. But yet gradually, if we progress, we understand that yayatamam papadyante, that everyone is on a path to Krishna, and all systems are leading us there. But Krishna prema is the goal, prema pamartho mahan. And this is something that we should keep in mind, and it comes up in the third point. After the second point is reconciliation of all philosophy by establishing the soul in bliss. And the first one is
removal of lamentation.
Removal of lamentation. Again, by the bliss that comes from Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then the third, Shashvat Bhakti Vinodaya Samadaya Madhurya Maryadaya. Again, Daya. And this means Shashvat, always, Bhakti, devotional service, Vinodaya, that His mercy stimulates. Vinodaya means stimulates. So Madhya, full ecstasy. That means the soul, it stimulates the soul being alive in its actual position. It stimulates that. Full ecstasy, and what is that? Madhurya. Madhurya of conjugal love, Mayadaya, to the limit. It brings one to the limit of all possibilities of relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And ultimately that's revealed in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. And Mahaprabhu, of course, is revealing it by the complete giving, the soul's complete giving himself to Krishna in the mood of as the gopis Ramyakishirupasana Braja Vadubhya, that Mahaprabhu explains that this is the top. And even when the gopis saw the great love, when they met Krishna at Caritamrta, and they saw the great love that the queens of Krishna had for Krishna, and they saw the great love that the Yadavas had for Krishna, and they saw the opulence of Krishna, and they saw the chariots and Krishna in the mood of a king. They saw everything, and they thought, this is so superficial compared to Vrindavan. All this opulence and formalities are there. But in Vrindavan, it's just Krishna. The giving the full, everything for Krishna's pleasure. Everything. That's Braj. And giving up everything for Krishna's pleasure. So that's the mood of the gopis that Mahaprabhu was teaching, and he himself, Krishna himself, wanted to taste the ecstasy that Srimati Radharani, in her complete loving service, was experiencing, because he was in the position of the Visha, the object of that love, and she was in the position of the Ashray, of the ocean, the source, the shelter of that love. So there's the person who's the lover, and then there's the object of the love. So Krishna was so bewildered by the power of her love, of Srimati Radha. Krishna, who is Sarvagya, who knows everything, who controls everything, who is all attractive, he becomes completely enchanted by the love of Srimati Radharani. So Caitanya Caritamrta explains this in such detail in the fourth chapter of Adi Lila especially. That Krishna wants to taste that, to be, what is she experiencing? When she looks at me, what does she see that causes her to give her heart so completely? Because you can't see that when you're the person yourself. So you have to be outside of yourself. And what kind of bliss she experiences. So, because Mahaprabhu wanted to taste that he came. So Krishna wanted to taste that, he comes as Mahaprabhu. So then, these 3 points that we'll now we'll hear about in detail. It mitigates all lamentation. The sweetness puts the material world, the sweetness of Mahaprabhu's mercy, which means development of love for Krishna, puts the material world in perspective. We want to create heaven or spiritual world here out of the material world, but it's not possible because it's meant to lapse continuously, and because we're eternal souls. Krishna Nityadas. And yet we become covered and want to play in the material world. And Prabhupada would say it's like children playing on the shore of the ocean, and they're building some little sand castle, and then the ocean comes, it's gone. And the parents are watching the children build their little things. Okay, let them play. But then at some point they say, come, let's go. We have to go home now. But let the waves go. So how does one really become fixed in that? And it's by tasting the sweetness. By tasting the sweetness. Otherwise it's just a fight within the mind. Oh, I'm not supposed to be attached. I'm not supposed to enjoy. but I am attached and I want to enjoy. But the kirtan of Mahaprabhu and all the different processes, they elevate the consciousness. This is his mercy. So the final line is Sri Caitanya Daya Nidhi Tava Daya Bhuyad Amandayo Daya. Another 3 times Daya is mentioned. Again, that's, O Lord Chaitanya, Daya Nidhi, ocean of mercy, your mercy, Tava Daya, Bhuyad, let it be, let that good fortune, let that come to everyone, let that awaken in everyone. So Srup Damodar is praying that he wants this mercy to be awakened in his heart. Would you like the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be awakened in your heart? Sometimes I feel like I'd rather play by the sand of the ocean, but yeah. So here's Srila Prabhupada's translation. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Prabhu. Yeah, everyone repeat after me, it's so nice. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy. So what did you just say? Anyone can remember?
Let there be an awaken of your auspicious mercy.
What you,
Let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy.
oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I mean, of course, to repeat it is to one thing, and to really pray like Sup Damodar is praying, just falls down at Mahaprabhu's feet, and he hadn't seen him. Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas. He hadn't seen him since he had taken sannyas. And there he was, Mahaprabhu was there, so he falls in. So wonderful, and then Sup Damodar comes in with this prayer just bursting from his heart. Let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation. How? By making everything pure and blissful. Purity and bliss drive away material lamentation. What would be a good example of that? Anyone thinking of something? Like, so lamentation is caused by ignorance. It's actually one of the qualities of tamagun. So if you want, and ignorance is compared to darkness. So if you want to get rid of the darkness, you just turn on the light. So everything pure and blissful automatically removes material lamentation. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. What does that mean? It awakens transcendental bliss and covers material pleasures. Yes.
It gives us the desire and appreciation of devotional service that we don't have. We're not interested in material pleasure.
Yeah, but it's so interesting the way it's described that the bliss covers it. The material desires for material pleasure. So when it's covered, it's no longer a factor. Your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. Sometimes we don't want our material pleasures covered. But, yeah, Prabhupada, in some of his walks, he just insists that there's no pleasure in the material world, it's only suffering. And that's so hard to accept because, first of all, we want pleasure in the material world, and second of all, there's some enjoyment in the material world. So was that saying that was Prabhupada saying that enjoyment isn't enjoyment, and you have, even though you're enjoying it, you have to convince yourself that you're not enjoying it? But what Prabhupada means is two things. One is that type of enjoyment, it's temporary, first of all, and it always changes. It's like when you see an advertisement for some new electronic gadget, a new phone or something like that, and you want to buy it, and do you have an iPhone? But then when you're so excited you want to get it, and you go and you fight for you see the people used to, when they would announce the new iPhones, people would sleep outside the store the night before. Seriously. To be the first one who gets it or something like that, fighting each other. But then when you get it, it's just a phone. And it bothers you more than you get pleasure from it. So, covers all material pleasures become so insignificant, tuchavat, insignificant. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising amongst different scriptures are vanquished. So everything is seen in the perspective of the purpose of all spiritual paths. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. What does jubilate mean?
Become happy.
Yeah, just so happy. Jubilation is a word that means happiness plus. So much happiness. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service. So it doesn't cover the desire to serve, but rather it makes you want to serve Krishna more and more and more and more. And if there's a choice between the pleasure that the soul experiences from serving Krishna and the service, the devotee will choose the service. Now, who knows the example that's given in the Nectar Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, on that? Do you remember it?
Daruka, fanning
Yeah,
Krishna,
he's fanning Krishna.
and the ecstasy caused problem for his fanning.
He became stunned in ecstasy, serving Krishna. And then
He did not want the ecstasy because it was interfering with his service.
he rejected the ecstasy because the ecstasy of serving Krishna was more ecstatic than the ecstasy of feeling ecstatic by serving Krishna. Because the complete sincerity, complete unselfishness, complete love. And this is what every soul is longing for. Just like this, when the little baby is there. And there's so much pleasure that the mother gets in serving the little baby. Yes. And motherly love. How's yours is still like a peaceful.
Peaceful, yeah, and also keeping us awake.
I was wondering if I was going to get to that, keeping you awake sometimes. But yet, it's the burden of love.
Yeah.
So it's love,
Yes.
and therefore it causes happiness. Of course, it causes tiredness too. Maybe.
Yes.
Who carries most of it? You or Gandharva?
Caitanya.
Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy. And what does the word causeless add to the idea of mercy?
That really emphasizes that we haven't done anything to deserve it, but it's just come.
We haven't done anything to deserve it, but it just comes. And also, we can't do anything to make it come either. It's just from the overflowing from the kind heart of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees. So Prabhupada's purport, it talks about these three points. And Prabhupada is, he's going to basically quote Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on this verse. Purport. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This important verse, Sri Chaitanya Chandradaya Natak, who wrote Chaitanya Chandradaya Natak? Caritamrta. It specifically, and where did Kavi Kanapur get the ability to write these incredible verses? And
In the mercy of Lord Nityananda.
yes, but who knows where he got. When he was a little baby, how old is your?
She's 2.
2. When this little baby was the son of Shivananda Sen, and when his mother was carrying the child, Shivananda Sen and the mother and the child inside came to Jagannath Puri to see Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu said you should call this child, name him after Paramananda Puri. So they called him Puridas, Paramananda, but they used to call him Puridas. But then, either the next year or the year after, I wasn't 100% sure, when he came to meet Mahaprabhu, and this is described in Antya-lila, in describing the taste of Krishna, the ecstatic taste of Krishna. That when the child was just crawling, couldn't even walk, couldn't speak, and he was presented to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu, it describes the words where he pushed his toe into the child's mouth, and the child sucked the toe of Mahaprabhu. And by sucking that nectar, he became Kavi Kanapur. What does Kavi Kanapur mean? Kanapur, the decorations for the ear. He would write, he was such a poet, his words would decorate the ear. So this verse from Chaitanya Chandradaya Natak specifically describes the Lord's causeless mercy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most magnanimous, the most generous personality of Godhead, distributes his causeless mercy in 3 ways to the conditioned soul. Every living entity is morose in the material world. So this is basically the words, Srila Prabhupada's translation of the words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Every living entity is morose in the material world. What does morose mean?
Sad.
Yeah.
Very unhappy.
Yeah, very sad, full of lamentation. The heart bordering on depression, feeling hopeless. So if you told people that, how do they react? You're morose and miserable. how do people react if you tell them things like that? Would they be happy? Would they think you're a good person, or you think they would think you're their enemy? But actually, it's true. And even if there is some pleasure, it's temporary. And not only that, how many people who are alive now, how many human beings that are alive now will be alive in 100 years? Not even, oh, sorry, that can get depressing for a mother. Don't get worse, because this one you have such a responsibility to feed with eternal nectar. So every living entity is morose in the material world because he's always in want. Such an interesting sentence. What does that mean? Bhima, what do you think? Living entity, everyone is always in want.
But they always want something more. So
And what's the cause of a person always wanting something more than what one has? Is-
envy,
Or dissatisfaction.
yeah,
Personal dissatisfaction. You see someone who, I mean, why do people drive around in fancy cars, big, expensive, fancy cars, so that other people look at him and say, oh, only if I could have something like you have. Do you have a big fancy car yet? Not yet. He's always in want. That means never satisfied. And always dreaming and imagining, only if I have this and only if I have that, then I'll be happy. And this is what, according to the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, causes us to wander in the material world continuously, just dreaming that, oh, I didn't get this in this life, and this person had it, only if I could have that. And then you have another birth to get that, and another birth to get that. So it's interesting to consider what you think or the way that the mind is thinking. Think of what you don't have, and that if you had it, you'd be happy. Only if I had my own bus company, so I could hire someone else to drive the bus, so I wouldn't have to do it. But I mean, even though it's yeah, we all have these desires, if only desires. So therefore, we're always in want, and therefore never peaceful. Eva Ashanta. He undergoes a great struggle for existence and tries to minimize his material conditions by squeezing the utmost pleasure out of this world. But the living entity is never successful in this endeavor. That's just the opposite of what you learn in school, right? You learn that if you take this course and you get this, you can get this kind of success. It's all about getting a job, and the job is all about getting money, and the money means power to buy, to enjoy, to control. And yet everyone is filled with so much want. While in the miserable condition, a person sometimes seeks the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but this is very difficult for materialistic people to obtain. So a pious materialist, when he's in difficulty, he'll want some mercy from God. However, when one becomes Krishna conscious by the grace of the Lord, now listen to this, when one becomes Krishna conscious by the grace of the Lord, the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord expands. What do you remember from when I just read that last sentence?
The fragrance of the lotus feet increases.
Yeah, thank you. That when one becomes Krishna conscious by the grace of the Lord, not by our own power, yes, we can desire, but we're dependent on Krishna's mercy and the mercy of the devotees. What happens is the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord expands. And one becomes captivated by the sweet fragrance, subtle fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet, of his service, of having a relationship with him. One becomes captivated by that fragrance. And in this way, a materialist may gain freedom from his miseries if Krishna gives him that. Actually, his mind is cleansed by his transcendental connection with the lotus feet of the Lord. At such a time, one is enlightened by the loving service of the Lord. What do you think about that? What do you think, Sam?
I like that the mind becomes cleansed by the process, and in that way we become closer to Krishna.
Anyone else? What do you think about that? What do you think? Not everyone becomes frightened. What happens if he calls on me? I better start thinking.
I don't have thoughts at the moment. I don't have thoughts at the moment yet.
It's not possible not to have a thought. Captivated by the lotus feet, by the fragrance of the lotus feet of Krishna. Do you have a thought about that?
I would love to be there.
How wonderful. Because those desires. You notice that you didn't say, I'd be curious to know what that was like.
Yeah.
You said, I'd love to be that. So Krishna hears that. How wonderful. Anyone else? What would you like to, what do you think?
It's like, fragrance, when you, that stays with you for a longer time, not just like, when the air blows and flowers are there, fragrance comes, and then when the breeze is not there, wind is not there, it is not there. The fragrance disappears. Flower is there, fragrance is there, but you can't feel that. So when you get Krishna consciousness, the fragrance stays with you. You pray that it stays with you for longer time, longer time.
Forever and ever, it just increases.
It keeps you engrossed.
What do you mean by engrossed?
It doesn't allow you to get out of it.
Absorbed.
Absorbed.
But the way you described it was even better than what I said, because you're saying that one becomes captivated by that fragrance.
Captive.
Anyone else? Krishna Leela, you want?
I was wondering about the amounts of grace and the amounts of desire and how they correspond to each other. So we may have
Well,
not
desire
enough
is the part that's in our control, and grace is in the part that's in Krishna's control.
So we need maybe more of one, or equal amounts of.
Well, that depends on Krishna. But we should do our part by making the desire strong. That's our part in the relationship. But it's not like, Krishna, my desire is 8 out of 10 right now. How come you're not doing your part? You have another 15 minutes. Because it's causeless.
Gotta wait for the grace often.
Yeah, but we shouldn't just do nothing while we're waiting. We should actively wait. What do you think, Mr. 18?
In one sense, the grace is already there because Krishna's already given us acts of Prabhupada's mercy, holy name and gesture and devotee association.
And we should take advantage. Thank you. Anyone else?
Once we get the fragrance of the Lord, our desire, material desire gets purified, and then the misery ends. And the misery ends once we get the fragrance of the Lord. Our material desires get purified, and thereby the miseries end.
And thereby,
Miseries end.
Misery.
because it's something that's difficult to accept, that our material desires are the cause of our miseries. Because we naturally want to think that our material desires and the fulfillment will give us our pleasure. But you just said something very deep and significant. Anyone else? Yes.
It increases your love for Krishna, and by smelling the fragrance, it helps you
Stimulates.
stimulate the love for Krishna.
Because why do you think that's true?
Because that's probably the sweetest smell you ever smell, the fragrance. So
And you want more.
you want more.
Not like ice cream, where it tastes so good, but how much can you eat? You may want more, but if you can't eat, there's a limit. Otherwise, the thing that you were hoping was going to cause you pleasure causes you misery. But this is unlimited. Ananda Muni Vardhanam. Thank you. Anyone else? Mataji, would you like to?
For me personally, I would like to, when I'm chanting now, focus more on Krishna's feet, visually for me, and pray that with some blessing I will get some fragrance in my mind and get more attached.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Do you like to say something?
I was thinking that the word daya is used so many times. It's a bit poetic because in the translation Srila Prabhupada hasn't used it with every word, but Swarup Damodar has put it with every.
3 times every line. Let me just check if it's in the last. Sri Caitanya Dayanadi Tavadaya Pujad Amandayo Daya Amando Daya. Yeah, 3 times at least. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, he's Kavi.
Alliteration.
Yes. Have you studied any Kavya?
Small.
Okay, anyone have any questions of your own? Now, Prashara, you have any questions? You have any answers? Okay. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Krishna's Kavya, Krishna ki jai, Sri Caitanya ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Caitanya ki jai.